Hey friends, it is a really beautiful thing that you are hanging out with me today on this episode of the Teacher Vlog. My name is Monica Genta and I am really thrilled to have invited my friend Caitlin from California onto today's episode. She is sharing 2 tips on something that is a buzzword in education right now, but I don't know if we as teachers are capitalizing on it and what it means for us in the classroom. And the topic is mindfulness. How can we make sure that we are in a good place in our head and in our heart so we can do what we love to do? Teach. Now at the end of the episode, stick around because I want to share with you a personal story on how mindfulness actually saved my career in education. You're going to want to hear that because I think you can relate to it. But for right now, let's get rolling on this special episode with Caitlin about mindfulness. All right, friends, I am hanging out with Caitlin right now, and I'm going to tell you, this is an episode that I think we all need to hear. We hear a lot about self-care, but I think we're going to come at it from a different angle because this is kind of your jam, and we were talking before off camera, and I love the lens that we are going to talk about this through. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to share this with people and really hope people can walk away with actionable strategies that they can use to make their lives better, help them with just that self-care that we were talking about, but in a different capacity that I think a lot of us as teachers really, really need in our lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we hear the term self-care a lot, and then I think we also hear the term mindfulness a lot in terms of how we can use that in the classroom. But when you hear the term mindfulness, what does that mean for you as a teacher for other teachers?
Yeah, so mindfulness for me as a teacher, for other teachers, I want teachers to understand that practicing mindfulness for themselves, not in their classroom for their students like you were saying, but for themselves, creates just a huge transformation in who you are as a teacher, but also who you are as a person. Because I feel like we as teachers take so many emotions home with us when we leave the classroom. We care about our students so much, and mindfulness doesn't take that away, but it allows you to kind of separate those emotions from the classroom. And when I leave at the end of the day at 3:15, 3:30, I'm able to leave those emotions there and be a person and be happy and be present at home with my family and my husband and my son. And I'm not doing the same things that I used to do when I was a first year or second year teacher and just carrying all of that baggage home with me, which I think a lot of us do.
Absolutely, because it is so hard to separate what happens from like 7 in the morning until like 3:30, and then you come home, like you're still wearing that teacher mindset, and it kind of becomes part of us. So what can we do to kind of help ourselves in using mindfulness as that platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 2 things I want to share. The first thing is kind of basic, but I think it's really important that we do this on a consistent basis. And so we actually, a little bit of background information first. At my school, we have a mindfulness teacher that comes in every Tuesday, and she spends a half an hour with all of the grade levels. And so when she comes into our 8th grade classroom, I see it as like, this is my time to practice mindfulness, to get in my mindful pose, to go through the strategies and exercises that she does with the students, because I see they get a lot from it, but it really is that Tuesday just a huge part of my life that has made my life better.
Yeah.
And so a few of the things that I want to share with you come from that. So I'm not like this mindfulness expert by any means, but I've just experienced it in my own life, and I want people to have that too.
Yeah.
So the first strategy is to really practice speaking kindly to yourself. So as teachers, I don't know about you, but I am a perfectionist. I always want everything to be fabulous and to be the best teacher, and sometimes that's just not possible. And we get into this mindset of talking down to ourselves, or kind of cutting ourselves down and being mean to ourselves, and we talk to ourselves in a way that we would never think to talk to somebody else that we care about and that we love.
Right.
And we need to treat ourselves with that kindness, with that love. So I have a mantra that I have say to myself every morning and throughout the day if I'm having a hard time. And it is, you are strong, you are smart, and your students want to learn from you. And that's something that, right, I just love it. It's so powerful. And I feel like that's really had such a positive impact on me. And it's just like this simple thing that I repeat to myself, but it's a positive thing that I'm saying time and time again. So I think if teachers can find an area where they struggle or they feel like they need just a little bit of extra love to come up with their own mantra, write it. I know it's lame kind of sounding, but like write it on your mirror and say it to yourself in the morning and get in the habit of saying it on a consistent basis, because it really has had a profound effect on me throughout this school year.
Yes.
Just that little mantra.
Girl, it's not lame at all. In fact, as we're talking and you say this, it's incredible because on my mirror in my bathroom, I have my mantra taped to it, and it says, I am happy, I am healthy, I am fit, I am faithful, I am chainless, I am changed. And
I love it.
Every single morning I see that and I'm brushing my teeth, and there are some mornings where I don't feel happy.
Yeah.
I don't feel changed. I don't feel those things, but it's that positive self-talk that really gets you in the right place to go and crush it in your classroom.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because you do have to be in that right place to be a good teacher, to do a good job. You can't bring those negative feelings that you have about yourself into your classroom, because I think it really impacts you.
Yes.
And it impacts your ability to impact your students in a positive way. So if they see us treating ourselves kindly, you know, maybe they'll start to treat themselves kindly.
Yes.
Especially in today's day and age with so many things that teenagers are dealing with. Middle school, you know, is a very difficult time.
Right.
And for them to see me love myself, I think is so much more powerful than me telling them to love themselves.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great tip. I feel so good knowing other teachers have mantras.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I would love for everyone to share their mantras with us, right?
That would be really cool. Yes, that would be awesome. If you are connected to this on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, comment below with your mantra. That would be really cool to just see everyone's kind of come in.
Totally. And inspire other people who maybe don't have one at the top of their head that they can come up with, that they can see ours and kind of take some ideas and make their own.
Love it. All right, cool. What's tip number 2?
Yes. So that's tip number 1. That's, like I said, a little bit basic. This one is a little bit more challenging and really is a part of kind of that mindfulness practice. Okay. So the goal of mindfulness is really to reach kind of this level of what they call equanimity, which is this calm level where we deal with our emotions in a different way than maybe we're used to dealing with our emotions. So at school, you know, there's so much going on, and I don't know if maybe if you have experienced the same things, but when the first, 4 or 5 years that I was teaching, I was stressed out, I was upset, I was frustrated, I had major anxiety, which led to a little bit of depression, and I actually left teaching. I quit in March. I was like, I can't do it anymore. It's taking a toll on my health, on my mental health. I can't do it anymore. Yeah. So implementing this idea of equanimity and really trying, and I'll explain it in just a second how to do that, but has had a profound effect on my life in such a positive way that 1, I'm a better teacher, and 2, I love teaching. I go to school now with just such a different feeling, such a different vibe than I ever did before. And so I know a lot of teachers are possibly struggling with what I used to feel, that they maybe feel that same exact way now. And so how do we help others get here, right? That transformation to loving teaching the way that we always thought we would when we were in undergrad or graduate school.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So equanimity teaches you to deal with your emotions from a different standpoint. So to acknowledge your emotions. So let's say that I'm in a situation at school that is really upsetting me. Practicing mindfulness with that emotion, I would sit down in what they call your mindful pose. So you have your 2 feet on the ground and you either place your hands on your chest or on your stomach, or you can even place it over your mouth so you can feel your breath. Okay. So that's kind of the first part of it. But then closing your eyes and welcoming that emotion in. I know this is a little like woo-woo, but it really is awesome.
Yeah.
But welcoming that emotion like into your mind, sitting with that emotion of frustration or anger, and actually feeling what that feels like physically in your body. So where does the anger get me? Like in my chest, maybe my chest feels really tight, or in my stomach's in knots. So physically what that emotion I'm sitting with, how that's making my body feel and my body react. And by focusing on the physical reaction to it, I'm able to not be dwelling on what made me mad in the first place, the sequence of events that led up to that feeling.
Yeah.
I'm just welcoming that feeling. I'm not passing judgment on it. I'm not mad at myself for getting frustrated. It's a feeling. I'm going to let it be. And by doing that, I'm able to move past that feeling faster. So it's not impacting me in the same way that if I was reactive to it and got really mad at the person I'm working with, and I stormed off, and that's a totally different experience than experiencing the emotion, letting it go, and looking back at the situation from an objective standpoint. And being able to maybe learn something from that experience that made you feel that way.
Yeah. So it's really about getting like to the core of it, taking out all those variables and all the other emotions, and like, let's just get to the core of like where we're at in this moment.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. And so I actually experienced this the other day. So I can give you a real life example of what this would look like for you as a teacher in your life. So one of the teachers at my school said something to me that I felt she was attacking the way I taught.
Okay.
And I'm sure that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Especially as perfectionists, we're like, no, I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
And it made me mad. And I was upset. And so I walked away and I went into my classroom and I sat down. I got in my mindful pose. I closed my eyes. I sat with my emotion. I experienced how I felt. I let it go. And then I was able to look at what she said objectively because my emotion was gone now. My emotion was out of the equation.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? She has a really good point. And I'm going to take what she said and I'm going to implement it into my teaching practice. And I'm going to be a better teacher because of it. Whereas if I had reacted, stormed off, and was sitting in my classroom mad at her, making up stories about who knows what, your mind goes into this storytelling mode. And I wouldn't have improved my practice as a teacher.
Yeah.
And I would have been mad leaving school that day. And so it really has just been a totally different experience dealing with things that frustrate me, that make me feel good too. You can do this practice with good feelings as well. It's not just for negative feelings. But it's had a profound impact on my life. Just doing that. It's very simple.
No, and it totally makes sense because education is such an emotional profession. And I think if we're not careful, those emotions start leveraging other parts of our life in a not positive way. And so this is a great way to kind of just get centered and like you said, look at things objectively instead of like overreacting almost in those moments.
Yes, absolutely. Because it allows you to be a better teacher. You are so much more present for your students. And as a wife, as a mom, whatever else you are in your life, I'm not bringing that emotional baggage home with me at all. And I still care about and love my students, but it's just a very different experience practicing mindfulness now and not having practiced it before.
So, and I love it. I think mindfulness is one of those things that can be a game changer in education. Now, speaking of game changer in education, let me tell you how mindfulness totally revolutionized my teaching career. At about year 7 of the classroom, I was over it. I really thought that I was going to leave the profession forever. My head wasn't in a good place, my heart wasn't in a good place, and I knew that I had to change my behaviors on what it looked like when I was walking into my classroom. And that is how this book came to be. It's called 180 Days of Awesome, where every single day before I left school, I was intentional about focusing on those things that really made a difference in the day. Guys, if you are struggling to find the awesome in your school, if you are struggling as a staff to build the climate and the culture that you know your kids deserve, this is a book that you want to check out. With spring coming our way and then summer closely following, I know a lot of schools are doing spring break or summer book studies. Guys, this is something that can change the trajectory of your students, of your school, and of yourself. I would love for you to check this out. You can find it on my website, or there is a link in the episode notes below. Make sure that you guys are connecting with Caitlin to find out even more about this. Thank you so much for watching this episode on mindfulness. I hope that you like, subscribe, and share with your friends. But most importantly, I want you to walk into your school and remember one important thing this week. Hey, you got this.